We finally got the inside scoop on Stallone's plan for Rocky 7. It turns out he still hasn't gone up against his toughest villain yet. So let's break down everything we know about Rocky 7. Ready? Let's dive in. If Sylvester Stallone ever gets the chance to make Rocky 7, his vision for the film shows that Rocky still hasn't faced his toughest opponent yet. And no, it's not some unstoppable fighter in the ring. It's something even bigger, scarier, and harder to beat. A while back, Stallone shared some details about his plan for Rocky 7 on Instagram, but he later deleted the post. Still, fans caught enough to get a glimpse of what he had in mind. It turns out the story would have included a heartfelt moment featuring Rocky's late wife, Adrian, and also introduced a fresh mentorship storyline where Rocky takes a new fighter under his wing. The big catch? Stallone doesn't actually own the rights to the Rocky franchise. Producer Irwin Winkler does, which makes any plans for another Rocky film complicated, to say the least. It's one of those so close, yet so far situations where Stallone's passion is obvious, but legally and logistically, it's a tough hill to climb. Now, it's been about 18 years since Rocky Balboa came out, and that film alone was a powerful reminder that, even at 60, Stallone still had the heart of a champion. Since then, he's passed the torch to the Creed series, where Rocky helped train Adonis Creed, the son of his old friend and rival, Apollo. While Stallone played a huge role in Creed and Creed 2, his absence in Creed 3 left a noticeable gap. The movie was still strong, but without Rocky in the mix, it just didn't quite feel the same. If Rocky 7 were to happen, it wouldn't just be another sequel. It'd be a huge deal, not just because Stallone's been playing this character for nearly 50 years, but because this new story takes Rocky into a totally different kind of fight. According to Stallone's notes, this time Rocky wouldn't be stepping into the ring. Instead, he'd be fighting for something even more personal, his neighborhood. Yep, Rocky 7 would have centered on Rocky defending his home turf in North Philadelphia from gentrification. The story had corporate developers swooping in to upgrade the neighborhood, raising prices, forcing out longtime residents, and stripping away the soul of a community that had been there for generations. And Rocky? He'd be right in the middle of it, standing up for the people who made the neighborhood what it is. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Rocky wouldn't be fighting alone. He'd team up with a young Latino fighter named Chucho, nicknamed Chucho the Mutt. Together, they'd push back against the development and try to protect the neighborhood's identity. It's a totally different kind of battle for Rocky, but in many ways, it's exactly the kind of challenge that defines him. Not physical strength, but heart, grit, and loyalty. This idea flips the usual Rocky formula on its head. Instead of fighting a muscle-bound rival in the ring, he's taking on corporate greed, something cold, calculated, and without any kind of emotional arc. That makes it even more dangerous. Most of the Rocky and Creed villains are human at their core. They've got flaws, sure, but they also have stories. Corporations, on the other hand, don't care. They're just out to make money, even if it means destroying a community in the process. And let's be honest, Rocky's neighborhood isn't just a backdrop. It's a character in the franchise. Places like Kensington in North Philly, City Hall, Mickey's Gym, and the Italian Market, all of it helped shape the identity of Rocky. The streets, the shops, the steps, it's where he came from. It's where his story began. So it makes total sense that he'd want to fight to preserve that legacy, not just for himself, but for everyone who still calls it home. Plus, there's Adrian's restaurant. That place carries so much emotional weight. It's named after the love of his life, and it's a reminder of everything they built together. If developers come in and change everything, that memory could be lost. And for Rocky, that's probably unthinkable. By taking on corporations, Stallone would have introduced a villain unlike any other in the franchise. One that doesn't bleed, doesn't feel, and doesn't quit. It's the ultimate underdog fight, really. And that's where Rocky shines. He doesn't win because he's the strongest. He wins because he refuses to give up, no matter how bad things get. Even though the idea of Rocky 7 is exciting, Stallone's future with the Creed franchise looks pretty much over. And honestly, that might be okay. After all, Stallone made a graceful exit in Creed 2, where Rocky steps back and tells Adonis, "It's your time. That line alone felt like a passing of the torch. He visits his son, meets his grandson in Vancouver, and gives fans a final shot of Rocky finally finding peace with his family. It's the kind of ending that feels complete. Creed 3 continued the story without Stallone, and despite some fans missing him, the film did incredibly well. Michael B. Jordan made his directorial debut and brought new energy to the franchise. And with Creed 4 on the horizon, there's every reason to believe it'll keep going strong, even without Rocky in the mix. Part of why Stallone chose not to return has to do with the creative direction of Creed 3. He said before that he doesn't like when his heroes get too dark, and Creed 3 definitely leaned into some heavier themes. Stallone, ever the sentimentalist, felt that the film went in a direction he wouldn't have taken. In his words, "I just feel people have enough darkness." So, instead of compromising his vision, he stepped back. There's also the long-standing feud between Stallone and Irwin Winkler, the producer who owns the Rocky rights. Stallone sold the rights decades ago when he was a struggling actor. And while the franchise has made billions since, he's never had ownership over his most iconic creation. That tension between them has only gotten worse over the years, and it's a big reason why Stallone has distanced himself from the franchise's future. Despite all this, Creed gave Rocky a satisfying send-off. He came full circle, mended his relationship with his son, and stepped out of the spotlight. And maybe that's how it should stay. Bringing him back in Creed 4 could risk undoing that closure. Plus, Creed 3 proved that the series can thrive on its own. With an impressive Rotten Tomatoes score and solid box office numbers, the film stands as proof that there's still life in the franchise, even without its original star. So, while Stallone's Rocky 7 idea is undeniably compelling, and it would have brought something totally new to the table, maybe it's for the best that Rocky gets to rest. He's fought his battles, inspired generations, and left behind a legacy that's bigger than any one film. And even though fans might always wonder, what if, there's comfort in knowing that Rocky went out on his own terms. Heart first, fists up, and always ready for the next round, no matter what form it takes. But let's not make this the end for Sylvester Stallone, because he is cooking up a Rocky prequel. And it sounds like he's kind of rewriting his own legendary movie. We're talking about a young Rocky, around 17, meeting a 15-year-old Adrian, long before their iconic, awkward date at the ice rink in the original 1976 film. And that changes a lot. Rocky and Adrian's slow-burn romance was a cornerstone of the first movie. So, giving it a teenage reboot could mess with the whole emotional punch that made their story so memorable. And that's that for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Your suggestions for future videos are always welcome in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay in the loop. And if you want, you can share your thoughts about this video in the comments.